And now, John Stossel.
Who was that guy? Anyway, this Monday, our nation's capital looked like a monarchy looks when a new king is crowned. Thousands applaud and cheer. Many act like subjects worshiping nobility. At a time when America faces unsustainable debt, economic troubles, why all the pomp? Watching, I wondered, should our capital be called Imperial Washington? But maybe I go too far. Senator John Barrasso attended the inauguration. He joins us now from Washington. So my Imperial Washington seems to be a minority opinion. Am I being unfair?
Well, I've been to every inauguration since I was 8, and my dad took me to John Kennedy's inauguration, so I've been to quite a few. This inauguration, I tell you, John, I'm less concerned about what happens one day than I'm concerned about what this president plans to do for the next 4 years as an imperial president, with rules and regulations and red tape and the czars, the recess appointments, rather than actually realizing this is one of 3 branches of government. I think that he believes he's the king.
Well, you talked about your father bringing you to these inaugurations, which is sort of unusual, and you were not in politics. You had a real job. You were a doctor. And now that you're in the Senate, is there an imperial attitude of we know best and we're going to fix it all?
Well, I think the imperial attitude is coming out of the Obama White House. And now you just saw this last week. He came out with 23 executive orders related to guns and issues there. So I think we're going to continue to see this president overreach and do things that he wasn't able to do legislatively.
This idea of executive orders does seem extraordinary, and Paul Begala, when he was working for President Clinton, said, wow, stroke of a pen, law of the land, kind of cool.
And this is a president that I think has gone way beyond that in terms of the number of regulations that have come out under this administration, and what are called significant regulations, which have an impact of over $100 million. Those are the things that are hurting our economy, making it harder to get people back to work and making it harder for hardworking taxpayers.
Though to be fair to President Obama, he's not the first to do this by any means. Even George Washington did this. Teddy Roosevelt did many more. Nixon's wage and price controls, executive order. JFK created the Peace Corps with an executive order. There's precedent.
Well, there is, but if you kind of go back to the founding fathers, the Federalist Papers, they said if men were angels, we wouldn't need laws. But that's why they set up a checks and balance system of government, and the president doesn't appear to believe that that applies to him.
And I go back to our first president as I look at an inauguration. George Washington said that political parties are likely in the course of time and things to become potent engines by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men subvert the power of the people to usurp for themselves the reins of government for unjust dominion. All right, so you leave medical profession, come to Washington. You see that?
Well, I want to work to improve the quality of life of American people. But what you have now seen is with that quote, and we've seen with the president's campaign team, they have now moved that to a nonprofit. They're going to take money from unions and from corporations. They will not say that they will report how much they get from each of those unions and corporations. And they're saying they're going to use it for the political purposes, not, John, to deal with jobs and the economy and debt and spending, which are the key issues of interest to the American people, but they're going to focus, they said, on guns and on immigration, those issues, and climate change, of all things. That's where they're going to direct the money and the power instead of dealing with the issues that are #1 on the minds of the American people.
And if Congress won't vote to support it, your staff said you like the Weekly Standard cover. We don't need no stinking Congress.
That's that cover tells the story of the way that this imperial presidency is going to be run. And the president's disdain for Congress doesn't just apply to the Republican Party. I talked to colleagues in the Senate who are Democrats, chairmen of committees, who have not heard from the president for extended periods of time. The president is seeming to divorce himself from the entire institution.
Well, why not? I have disdain for Congress. The public does. A lot of them are self-interested buffoons.
The The Constitution was set up in a way that there are checks and balances. The president doesn't come and visit with the voters of Wyoming or in many other states around the country. And it is the opportunity of individual citizens to have their voices heard by their local elected representatives. The president should be paying attention to that, rather than thinking it's his way or the highway and that he knows best. As the president did from his inaugural address, it seemed to me, was saying, I am the government and I'm here to help you.
Senator Barrasso, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, John.